Halo.
Evening. Okay pa, afternoon or evening? Still afternoon na kan? Okay, so we will continue on the next chapter for this course. So for this chapter, according to our lesson plan, our Form B, this chapter is divided into 2 parts. Okay, so we will cover the first part today, and and the second part next week. Okay, so they are, I think, 26 slides for this chapter, for this part. So this is, so we can start, right? Can we start?
Yes, can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next, after we have looked at the physical capabilities in our previous lecture, so today now we will discuss further for these for users. We want to understand our users. So now we will discuss the cognitive capabilities. So this is part 1. So we will continue on part 2 for this chapter next week. Okay. So let's look at what is this cognition. Okay, what is this cognition? So when we have interaction with technology, when humans have an interaction with the technology, that is what we call cognition. Okay, cognition. So we need to consider cognitive processes involved and also cognitive limitation of users when they are using our computer system. So we need to understand the user in terms of cognition so that we can provide knowledge about what user can do and what they cannot do. Okay, so we will gain knowledge about the user, what are the things that they can and cannot be expected to do after we understand this cognition level of our user. And then we also need to understand the user cognition so that we are able to identify and explain the nature and also causes of problems that users encounter. So for your persona, this one the problem users encounter, usually we discuss this under frustration. Okay, frustration when they use the existing system. And also if we understand the user cognition, we can apply related theories, model, and methods that can lead to the design of better interactive products. So depending on what's the level of our user cognition, we will be able to identify any theories or model or methods that can help us in designing a good or a better interactive computer system. Okay, so we want to achieve this understanding of user cognition so that we can achieve all these 3 things here. So what is really cognition? So this term, it's used to describe the interpretation, okay, interpretation of information in the mind, in our brain. So it's the interpretation of information in our brain. So we constantly receive information. It's either using the physical capabilities just now. We receive information through our eyes, through our ears, through our touch, etc. So this will lead to interpretation, okay, interpretation in our brain, so that next after we interpret the information that we get, we will plan an action according to the interpretation, and we will execute the action. Okay, so cognition is where we have the interpretation of information that we receive through our physical capabilities. So this interpretation is processed in our brain. So there are several types of core cognitive aspects. Okay, so we have attention, and then we have perceptions and recognition, and then next is memory, and then reading, speaking, listening, and also problem solving, planning, reasoning, and decision making, also learning. So the most relevant aspect to interaction design are attention. Okay, so we'll discuss more on attention. We will also look at perception, recognition, and memory. Only these four. We will be focusing on these four. But of course, the core cognitive aspect is not limited to all of these. There are more. So for this course, those that is relevant to interaction design, system design are these four: attention, perception, recognition, and also memory. So cognition here is a set of faculties which allow our brain to process inputs from external world and determine action in the external world. So internally, we accept information and we process the inputs, and we determine what action to be done, and we execute the action in the external world. So first, let's look at the first aspect. We have attention. Okay, so attention here. So this this type of cognition, it allows us to focus on information. Okay, focus on information, which we give more attention on information that is relevant to what we are doing. Okay, so we want to focus on information that is relevant on what we are doing currently. Okay, so it can involve audio, it can involve visual senses, or it can be both. It can involve audio and visual, or it can be either. Okay, so attention here is referring to focus on information that is relevant to us. So information at the interface that we are designing, it should be structured to capture end users' attention. So if it's unstructured, like we're talking about placement of your button, placement of your information on your interface, it will affect your user's attention. So if it's structured, it will be able to capture users' attention. So you can use perceptual boundaries, this one referring to the windows, and you can use colors, you can use reverse video, you can also use sound and flashing lights, of course, depending on your user's physical capability as well. So you depends on the user capabilities, and you also look at the cognition at this attention aspect of your end user. So now let's look at one example of structured and unstructured information. So here I want you to find the price of a double room at the Holiday Inn in Bradley. Okay, so look at this. So this is considered as unstructured data, unstructured information. So try to find this Holiday Inn in Bradley. What? Sorry. So your attention is like you're looking for Holiday Inn, right? So here you see Holiday Inn, but in Bradley. So you see Holiday Inn,
The third last.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you like scan from up from the top right, so it will you take time for you to find the information, like it's at the bottom, the third last, right? This one. So these are the information that you were asked to find. Okay, so this is an example of how data, how like this one I would say it's unstructured because you need to like scan through each one of these. So if you're fast, of course, every human is different. So you can be fast, you can be slow, like you can be like you are not focused at all, so you don't have attention. It's like where is this thing? Like you take time to find the thing that is um, uh, that you are required to find. Okay, so placement of your information also affect your attention. Okay, and then now I want you to find the price for a double room at the Quality Inn in Colombia. Okay, double room at the Quality Inn in Colombia. So if you notice, I think you found it already, right?
Yes.
Down here. Okay, so if you notice, the time that is required for you to find the information with this structured information, this is considered information structured because you list out the city, right? The city and the motel or the hotel's name, the area code, the phone number, and the rate, single and double. So it's much easier for you to find it. So you can find like the city, Colombia. So you just directly find Colombia here. So you narrow down your search to this area, and you need to find Quality Inn. Okay, so Quality Inn is very easy to find. So double, so you will find it here. Hold on, give me a sec. I need to reply a message. Okay. So if you notice, you can find the information much faster when the information is structured like this rather than like this, right? You can see the difference. So the representation of our data or our information on our design should also take into consideration on how to attract attention of the user to find the information. So if it's like this, like it's better that I call the place and just ask it right away, right? So you don't want to be troublesome like finding the information with this kind of representation. So you don't want to do this for your design, okay? And then, so what happened in the first screen just now? So it was actually a study which is done previously. So this researcher to list in 1987, it found that the two screens produce quite different results. So the first screen, it took an average of 5.5 seconds to search for the information, while for the second screen, this one, it took 3.2 seconds to search. Okay, so you should already know why, because of the information, the way that the information is being presented is different. The first one was unstructured, and the second one was structured, so that it's easier for the user to find the information. So that's why you need to really look into consideration, to take into consideration also the placement of your information on your design. So we have some design guidelines for attention. So these are the guidelines, but it's not limited to this. These are some of the guidelines for attention. So you want to make information noticeable when it needs attending, means things or information that is important, you think important for the user to see, you need to make it noticeable. So you can use techniques like make the things stand out. You can use color. Use color usually if you want to make it like, if you want to make it stand out, you use bright colors like red, other colors than the rest of the text that we have on the screen. The order of the information, the spacing, the underlining of it, the sequencing, and you can also use animation, right? So you need to avoid cluttering interface, like too many things in one interface. So I'm not sure why the example here is Google. Maybe the previous google.com, we have like when you open google.com, you have uh, many ads around your Google search. Okay, but now I think Google has improved the interface. It's not that cluttering anymore. So maybe because this one is the previous one now. Okay, and also the menu choices and information that you display on screen, it should be arranged in a pleasing or in a logical way. Pleasing means it's pleasing to the eyes, like it's not too much, it's not too many, and it must be in a logical way whereby the user will know where to go from your screen, from the current screen. Okay, so maybe like usually for next button, usually we put at the bottom right? So uh, maybe suddenly you think that you want to change a bit, you want to put next button at the top. Okay, but of course you need to take into consideration as well the movement of your cursor to get to the button. Okay, but if it's mobile friendly app, it should be easier for you to like place your button in anywhere on the screen. Okay, so let's look at this example here. So this was the website of PTPTN. Okay, this was taken previous I think years ago. This was the old of 2015. So this was the interface in 2015. So if you see here, right, it's very compact. It can be considered as it's cluttered. Too many things, too many text, too many button, and you don't know where to go, right? So maybe this one actually depends to the user. Like for me, I'm okay if it's like this, but maybe you can simplify it more so that the user know where to go if they want to find information. Okay, so like in this example here, this was in 2015. So let's look at the latest one. So this one should be the latest one. Okay, well 2020, 5 years later. So 5 years later, so this is how PTPTN improve their yeah, that's why it depends to the user, right? So this one like it's very like flashy. This one flashy to me, it's flashy, like too many colors. Maybe I think because of the graphic here, I guess, like too fancy. So this one, that's why I mentioned just now, it depends to the user as well. Like everything dump in this one page. Okay, so maybe like it's easier for you to find things here. Like for this one, like it's simpler, but it's still like, I would say for me, for my personal view is I prefer the previous one also, like fairer. Okay, so always, of course, when you're designing for your assignment, you always refer back to your persona. Okay, what is the characteristic, and you can consider like what color they like, and do they like animations. Okay, so previously we will have these flashing things on website using JavaScript or Adobe script Adobe script, but those Adobe script has been discontinued. So those is it's no longer used on website. Okay, so depending on the user, which one they prefer, right? So for you, you need to understand your persona in order for you to produce a good interactive application. Okay? So here it highlights the pinjaman pendidikan, bayaran balik. Usually they want to highlight things that they want the user to do. Like maybe you want to find information on the loan, you want to pay back, what are the ways to do it, and you can open your SSPNI account and also another account that you can open in PTPTN. Okay, the rest are just like information. Okay, so this is an example of web search engine. Search engine. Maybe you have heard of this. You know this? Do you know DuckDuckGo?
Yes.
So DuckDuckGo is another search engine which is very, I would say it's very simple. It's simple, and the thing that makes this search engine stand out from the rest, like Google, we have what else? Bing, mm, Google, Bing, what else? Yahoo search, Hotmail also. Do we have Hotmail search? So this one, DuckDuckGo is known as a search engine that doesn't track you. It doesn't track you means that it will not keep track on what you have been browsing. Okay, so this is good for privacy. Okay, this is good for privacy, and of course, like the other search engine, why do they track you? Because of money. They want to track what you do. They want to do advertisement, like Google. They are focusing on advertisement, right? So they want to know where you go. So that's why they track you on their search engine, so that they know what to propose to you, what they want to suggest to you for the ads. So like for Yahoo, Yahoo.com, also like when you go to Yahoo.com previously, it shows you directly to the news, the latest news. Also like Hotmail also gives you like overview of some latest news. So it always depends to the business goals. Okay, so for this DuckDuckGo, the goal is to not to track what the user is browsing on the internet. Okay, so this is an example of an interface that is very simple and it's straightforward. So search engine previously, initially, it is just for you to find information on the internet, right? That's the main purpose initially. But when we evolve in the information age, everything also you want to gain money. So that's why the other search engine wants to track what you do on the internet. Okay, so this is an example of a search engine. And another example here, we have the Windows Live Tile. For this one, I think it's Windows 8. Okay, Windows 8, but it's very brief. This update was just briefly introduced. Later, it was updated again. I'm not sure if you have seen this. Have you seen this Windows Tile?
Yes, have.
So this one, it allows you to to access your device or the things you have in your device using this Windows Style. Set up a Windows 11. I'm not using this. You can actually disable this. So it's not previously I tried to use it, but it's not to my I'm not comfortable using it, so I did not use it. So what I do with my um, the most thing that I use in my Windows, I use the search bar a lot of times. So I just go to my search bar and I search. So that's why it depends to your user as well. It depends on your user. So if you prefer your start your Windows start and this is what you see when you log in, so you can set that, or you can also remove this. But this one was previously. You don't have IE anymore. You don't have Internet Explorer. It was already replaced with Microsoft Edge. Okay. So this I would say this Windows Lifestyle has like many complaints from the users, so that's why they like upgraded it, or they I'm not sure if it's um, removed completely already from the Windows. I'm not sure. I did not check because I'm not interested with this Windows Lifestyle. Okay, so another example. Okay, another thing that you can look at when you want to present your information is the alignment as well as the layout of your information. So here, try to find the biggest figure in each column. Okay, try to find the biggest figures in each column. Column one, column two, biggest figure, the top one, right? The first one is the top one, and then here is this one. Did you get the same? So we have two columns here. Two columns. One column is structured, like tersusun. It's structured. The other one is like the alignment is like it's not aligned to the numbers from the top, and but this one is actually aligned to the decimal places. You can see here. So which column allow you to perform the task easier? Column A
Uh,
or
column A.
column A, right? So we have column B here. It actually align the decimal places. It align the decimal places. So depending on your brand, depending on your perception on this information, you might find the second column is much easier rather than the first column here. Okay, so I think for me, the second column is much easier because I can directly see which one is the biggest number according to the placement of these decimal places. The decimal places. Okay, so that's why your alignment and your layout is also important in order for you to capture the attention of your user. Okay, before we continue, we take 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we continue?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we continue, yeah. So we continue on spacing and alignment of our design. So this one is by designcode.io. So this is design that guidelines according to spacing and alignment. So the general rule is to have a minimum padding or margin of 8 points. Okay, so usually this is the usual, or this is the recommended rule for us to use spacing and alignment, but of course depending on your own design. So this will create enough breathing room, which makes the layout easier to scan using our vision, and the text will be more readable. Okay, so the breathing room is the space, this one, the space that we have the spacing from the top to the next element in your UI. So also the UI elements, it should be aligned, and text should have the same baseline position. If I'm not mistaken, this view is for mailbox, uh, mailbox in iOS, in your iPhone. Okay, so you see, you align center. This one also, the next element also you align center, and this one for the content of your email, you align the baseline, and also you look at align left as well. Okay, here. See, it's very neat and it's very presentable, so easy for you to read. But of course, this is only a guideline, not necessarily you follow this. You can use your own creativity to create your design for your system. So next, we go to the next aspect of our cognition, which is the perception. Okay, so what is perception here? It refers to the ability to see, hear, or become aware of things, something through our senses. Okay, through our senses. So it's the ability to see, hear, or become aware of things around us using our senses. So the obvious implication is to design representation that are readily perceivable. So your text on your system or design should be clear to read. The icons that you use should be easy to distinguish and easy to read. So let's look at example here, which is the easiest one to read according to you. Well, 5. Calvin? Sarah also 5. And 4.
5 is
5.
less. Yeah.
Okay. So see, so maybe different person will have different perceptions, or maybe some other people, like they want to be creative, like they want to like present something new, they use number 1. Yeah, but of course that is their own preferences, right? You are not looking at the user preferences. So for us in designing our UI, you want to make sure that your text can be readable, and you directly know what is being presented on your screen. So 4 and 5 should be the most suitable one. Okay, it can be 4, it can be 5. The color scheme, the context, or the color code, you really also need to look at that. Like for this one, like a red with green, it's not that it doesn't provide you with contrast, so you like it's not really easy for you to see what is the text. Similar to this one, number 2, it's not easy to read. Number 3, you still can read, but it's not clear enough. So you have this combination here, color combination. Sorry. So color combination also important when you design your UI. Here you have a yellow and blue color combined. So the yellow is maybe we can say it's a bold color when you put the background as a dark color background, right? But of course, number 5 is the most simplest one, and it's more presentable. Like user can directly see what you want to ask in your design. So we have several design guidelines as well for perception. So representation of our information, it need to be designed to be perceptible and recognizable. So we need to put our information, we need to present our information, design it to be perceptible, means it is acceptable to the eyes, and it's recognizable. So you can use icon or other graphical representation. So this will enable users to readily distinguish their meaning. Okay, so here are some examples of share icons. Share icons. So as you can see, it's all these are from different platform or different updates or different version. So this one is by Apple iOS 7. This is the share icon that they use, and then in the previous version of Apple iOS, it looked like this, so that they updated it to this. In Google Android, they use this share icon. So that's why you need to know your user, like in your persona. I did suggest you to list out what are the device that is used by your persona. So from there, like if the user is using Android, for example, like if it's iPhone, so you focus on iPhone's icons, right? So always refer back to your persona again and again throughout your design implementation. So if your persona is using Android, so you refer to the icons that is used in Android. So Android also upgraded they also has been updating their icons. So these are examples of the previous Android share icon. And then we have Microsoft Windows 8, looks like this. In Windows Phone 7, have you seen Windows Phone? Windows Phone, Microsoft Phone, have you seen it?
No.
Yes.
Oh, better have seen it. Okay, so this was up until 2012 only. My husband is a big fan of the Microsoft stuff. So from the beginning, I think he has two Microsoft Windows Phone. So the interface is similar to what you see on your Windows on your computer. Okay, so this one not used anymore. They did not like continue to produce this Windows Phone. I think probably because of the competition in the market. Okay, so now we have Android, we have iOS, and then what do we have other than that? We have Huawei, right? Huawei is another operating system owned by China. Previously, we also have Samsung OS. Okay, so all those they are using different icons and different graphical representation. Okay, so that's why I always emphasize that you need to refer back to your persona, what devices they own, so that you can fit your design to what they have in hand. Okay. So another example of perception on the view of your the placement of your information. So this one is, I think this one is or it's a microwave manual the buttons. Okay, so you can see here bordering and spacing are effective visual ways of grouping information. So you have one group here for one touch control, and then you have another group auto weight defrost. So you can see spacing here, you can see spacing, and you can see the border here, which gives you more like attention to this group here. So let's say you want to do make pizza, so you know where to go. You directly know where to go. And then text should be legible, should be readable, and distinguishable from the background. Okay, so this like the example just now you all pick the number 5 one. So this one, this is an example. The background is white, the text is black. Okay, so you can see it clearly. So this is also an example of how you can position your information on your design. Okay, next we have the contrast as well. So you can use contrast to also to provide more attention to your design. You can use contrast from high to low. So this one is referring to text. Okay, referring to text. So contrast is the difference between the light that is emitted from the foreground. The foreground is at the back, and the light emitted at the background. Okay, so you see which one is suitable for your design. So if you will use like only the choice of color also, like color scheme, color code, you want to use earthy colors like brown, light brown, white, right? So if you want to have like aesthetic view of design, you apply contrast with maybe this one is white, brown, light brown, brown, or maybe dark brown and light brown. Okay, so play around with the colors to attract attention of your user. Okay, so you can use contrast as well. The next one is, it is also important to stick to some type of font. Okay, so the choice of font also will affect your users' perception towards the information that you want to represent to them. Because if you have too many different types of font mixed together on a screen, it can lead to a jumble effect like what you have now. Like you also don't want to read this text. So all this whole passage here, this whole sentence here, actually talking about one thing, but when you see like there are many different fonts, seems like it's representing different information for each font type, right? So usually in graphic design, when you design, let's say you design a poster, or you design like invitation card, right? Usually the rule of thumb is you only use maximum 3 font types, only 3 font types. Okay, but for interface design, for computer system design, usually you use only 1 font type. Okay, 1 font type or maybe 2. Okay, so usually the font type 1 is for title maybe, and font type 2 is for the content example. So you can only have, for your computer system, you can only usually you can use up until two types of font only. Okay, so so that your user is, they don't get this jumbled effect. Okay, so make sure you pick the correct type of text, correct a good type of font, like a presentable font, of course depending on your creativity, and also always depends to the capability of your user to read. Okay, so maybe like for kids they like something like fancy, so maybe you can use this type or maybe this type. So for kids, because your user is kids. So let's say if your user are elderly, you want to use big font and bold them, right? So if it's like your user is a normal user, you can use Arial, and also maybe normal type of font like this, or different, maybe normal font like this. Okay, so up to you how you want to choose your font. You can use two types, maximum two types, but the best one is only use one type of font. Okay, usually you match with your logo of your product. So we have another law. So just now, the previous lecture session, we have Fitts law, right? Fitts law. Now we have Gestalt law. So this one is referring to law of perception. Okay, so our mind understands external stimuli as whole. Okay, so rather than the sum of their parts. So our brain, it processes the whole picture, the whole things that carried a different and altogether greater meanings than its individual components. Like for a car, when we look at car, we think of it as a whole, not it's the tire, the engine one by one. So we look at it as a whole. Like for a picture, we look at it as a picture, right? So we don't think about what paint is used, what canvas is used, what brush is used. So this is a Gestalt law of perception. So we don't look at the tire, the paint, the metal for a car. So we think it, we look where our brain process a thing as a whole. So that is according to this Gestalt law. So there are humans that don't don't perceive things in front of them like this. So like my son has autism. Um, so he perceive a car, but he don't perceive the car as a car. He look at the tire, he look at the paint, the eyes of the car, the metal, the like the steering, small things. So that's why this Gestalt law of perception, it doesn't apply. It don't really apply to everyone, because human has different brain, right? So in viewing the whole term here, a cognitive process will take place where our mind, it makes a leap from comprehending the parts to realizing the whole. So here for this Gestalt law of perception, it creates a group of grouping laws that can be summarized as these four. Okay, so the proximity, the continuity, the similarity, and the figure ground. But take note that this Gestalt law is not limited to these four laws, but for interaction, for design, for user interface design, we refer to these four laws under this Gestalt law of perception. Okay, what do you see here? Some people can see it as a dog. Do you see dog? I don't see dog.
I see eye only.
Yeah, it's an eye, right? It's an eye. So depending on how your brains work, So depending on how your brains work, that is what you will perceive from this picture. Okay, so let's before we proceed to this one, we take a break. Take 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we continue.
Can
Can.
Okay, thank you. So we continue on Gestalt law of perception. The first one, it's the proximity. Okay, so the proximity here refers to the objects on our design, how close it is, appearing to each other, it referring to space or the time tend to be perceived together. So in your intent is that the items in your user interface are to be read by the user as being grouped, so place them in a close proximity. Okay, so as you can see here, the example here, we have this like these dots here. It's much easier for you to perceive the dots if it's a group into three parts here rather than looking at this. So this one is like jumbled everything in. This one is you have a proximity between the groups of the dots. So if your items in your interface are not intended to be read as being grouped, so you need to be careful to allow enough space between them, like what we do to these dots. So proximity is where you apply a space for your objects on your design. Okay, so the next slide will show you an example of this. So we have these three columns here. So each column here, you will know when you look at this directly. So you will know it's for the read more here is intended for this news above it, right? So similar to the rest. So this column here, this title belongs to this article here, and the read more button also refers to the to this column here. So this is what we call proximity. So you want to make sure that your user knows where to go, knows where they are. Like you have a read more here, they know this button refers to which article on your screen. Okay, so similar goes to this one and also this one. This is an interface of YouTube interface. Uh, so here you can see proximity also play a role in this. So you know that this picture here, this snapshot of the video refers to the title below it and who is the producer who uploaded it, the view, so the proximity of the objects, or here we refers to the text, proximity of the text, to the image that we have up here. So it will help the user to understand better. It will help the user to understand your interface better. It's raining. Is it loud? You still can hear my voice, right?
Okay.
can
Okay, thank you. So we have the first row here, and then the next row, if you notice like this one, this China 6 to revive Silk Road project, you know that all the videos that is suggested here are all related to this title. Okay, so similar to this one. So this is the title for all the suggested video that is shown to you on this snapshot. Okay, so proximity here refers to the objects that you have on your design, which will help the user to understand better your interface and they understand better on how to use your system. Hold on, I need to check the rain if it's, I'm afraid it's 1-0. Give me a sec.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully it doesn't rain that long. Okay, so that's about proximity. So next, still on proximity, we have this example here. So if you notice this emoticon here shows you that for this one, if this is better than this one. Okay, so why is that? Why is this is better than this view here? So you give a proximity, you give a space from your previous field, like from the bottom one. So you give a little bit space here, and it's also a line, okay, a line here, and you also see that the first row is for you to fill up your name, your first name and your last name. This one should be your last name. Your gender. So your gender here, you directly know that you need to select one. So this is a drop-down box. So you can also apply this to your design. Maybe if you want to include a sign-up function in your system design, so you can use this this example here for the user to be able to like key in directly their information. So gender, it can be female or females, or sometimes you can put in unspecified. Okay, so gender, like the typical one, we know we have male, female, right? So you can just select one. So birthday, you can allow the user to select a month. So this make it easier for the user, like they don't have to type for anything, like they don't have to type, so they just pick the month, and they just need to key in the day. Here already suggested for you, you need to key in the day and you key in the year. And I live in, so here typically all the countries are listed here, and the postal code. So the postal code usually, if your system is good enough, let's say you select United States, if your system is good enough, you link the postal code with the state or with the location of where you live, you can directly detect what is the postal code. Okay, so that is the background of it. You don't have to like fulfill like auto complete, auto fill in the fields for your design. Okay, because for this course, we only want to focus on your user interface only, your uh, your user interface of your prototype. Okay, so compared with the bottom picture here, please select country. So this one also they use a drop down, the login information. You need to type in your username, you need to type in your password. So if you understand systems, if you got this asterisk red here, it means that this field must be filled in. Okay, but of course, if your user, like they don't really use it, they are not IT people, they are not system people, so they don't understand why is this red. So like they can proceed if they able to proceed if they don't fill up anything. So here it did not give any indication of what this red asterisk means. Okay, then password, we enter password. So you can see here, like the proximity is like it's too far, the distance is too far. So sometimes if like you don't look it carefully, you can mistakenly key in your password, key in your username here okay, in your password here. It can happen. So maybe you think that it's a silly, it's a stupid mistake, but it can happen to your users because, as I mentioned, not all humans are the same. Okay. So for today, that's about it. So part we already finished the uh, the half part of cognitive capabilities. So we will continue on for part 2 next week during our lecture session. Okay, so next week, as you all know, we are not going to have the face-to-face session. So we'll continue on online session for our lecture. Do you have any questions?
No.
No question.
Okay, so thank you so much for your attendance and for your attention and also for your participation in today's class. So we still have 30 minutes to go. So maybe you want to look at your persona if you want. But of course, I will need you to stay in the meet until 4:20. Can you do that?
Okay.
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 All right. So thank you so much once again, and you can leave the session at 3:20. Better. 4:20. Sorry, 4:20.
Okay.